what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Humanity Matters Weekly. I am your host, Philip Fletcher. This is where we discuss faith and philosophy, nonprofit leadership, and social issues. We want to engage with ideas and what it means to be a free human being and what it means to flourish as a human being in this world. So, thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to be talking about free expression and opinions. And so before I get started, just want to give you several ways that you can connect with me. First of all, connect with me on Twitter at Phil Fletcher. Also on YouTube, you can just put in Humanity Matters or Dr. Philip Fletcher. And please subscribe. Trying to hit that 200 mark before August. So I would greatly appreciate you subscribing. Also, you can find me on Facebook at Dr. Philip Fletcher, as well as philipfletcher.org. That is the website. Also, if you would like to support the work that I am doing, please jump over to Patreon, where you can just put in my name again, and you can support for as little as $5 and get some cool gear and access to some things that I'm not just going to put out on YouTube or on my podcast. And that podcast is available wherever you get your podcast content, to include Anchor.fm, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes. And so subscribe over there, but also leave a review. I would greatly appreciate that. I like to learn. Finally, some recent stuff that has come out. Just released a review of Dr. Ibram Kendi's Anti-Racist Baby. Now, if you're not familiar with Ibram Kendi, he is one of the intellectuals who is at the forefront of anti-racist thought that is finding its way through school systems, nonprofits, businesses. See this echoes in sports, whether that's the NBA, the NFL, and it's made its way across the world. So if you're interested in that, just go over to my YouTube channel, and will also be available on my podcast, where you can hear a review of this children's book. That's right. It's a children's book. It's not a book for adults. It's a children's book. I spent the money at Target. All right, gave him some of my dollars so I could review the book, and I wanted to share that review with you, ladies and gentlemen. So, and I think it's helpful because these types of books are going to find their way in libraries. I believe they're going to find their way in public schools, in their libraries, maybe even read in classrooms. So I think it's very important that parents, those who have children in the public school, kind of get a little bit of knowledge of what's going on, right? Is it critical race theory? No, it is not, right? That's taught in the academic. This is the praxis, if you will, of critical race theory. So either way, there that is. So today we are going to be talking about freedom of ideas, opinions, and expressions. And so, hey, if you want to join me, all right, I put the link in the Facebook description as well as the YouTube description. So whether you're watching this on Facebook or whether you're watching this on YouTube live, I want to bring you on and have a discussion with you, kind of like they do on talk radio, where they bring somebody on, right? And they can, jabber for a few minutes. I want to bring you on as well. So I put that link in the overall description. Just click on that link. You'll jump up in the queue section of my show, and I would love to bring you on. If not, I will dominate the discussion, and hey, I will execute all of my freedom and give my opinions and ideas regarding what we're going to be talking about. But if you don't, you just want to leave a comment as well. All right, I'll be glad to respond to the comment. If you just got a question you want me to respond to, that's cool as well. If you're not comfortable coming on live, that's cool. I completely understand that. It is what it is. So let us dig right on in. So, who exercises power over you? Who exercises power over me? Is it me, the individual? Is it the majority in your particular area and where you live? Is it the government, whether that's city government, state government, federal government? Who exercises power over you? I want to ask these questions because these are questions that need to be asked, because if we don't ask questions, we could look up one day, or our children or our grandchildren could look up one day and they could be like, what the heck happened? The opportunity for me to think for myself, the opportunity for me to speak my mind regarding a particular issue is now I can't do that. So I think it's important that we ask the question, who exercises power over you? Is it you, the individual? Is it the majority? Is it the government? And the reason I bring this up, because as individuals, yes, we at some point want to be in relationship, affiliation, association with other people, right? And we want to associate with people voluntarily, right? I want to make the choice to have a relationship with you, right? And then have the choice to put up as many boundaries or as few boundaries as I want. And as you know, obviously, you have boundaries that you want to put up so that we both can flourish as human beings. Always keep that in the back of your head. So, but what can happen is, or what does happen is this, is that as people live around one another and do things with one another, certain customs and beliefs and practices begin to develop because of those associations, those voluntary associations, right? And practices, thoughts, beliefs begin to form. And when somebody decides to say, you know what, I want to think another way, or I want to express this idea in a particular way, or I have an opinion about such and such a matter, right? In doing so, that individual is, what we've heard said in the past, they are swimming against the tide. They're swimming upstream while everybody else is coming downstream. So using religious language, that individual could be looked at as they're verging on heterodoxy, right? Moving towards being what would be called a heretic, right? That very word, division, to divide, okay? To the larger, the more negative turn of one who becomes a blasphemer, right? Because they have spoken against what is customary, what is commonly held, what is commonly practiced, right? But again, who exercises that power? Is it the individual? Is it the majority? Is it the government? Hey, again, this is Dr. Philip Fletcher, and we're going to be digging into the freedom of ideas, opinions, and expressions tonight. If you want to join me on this show, I put in the description section for the show on Facebook and YouTube a link that you can jump into the queue, and I would love to bring you on. If you just want to put a question, just put it in the comment section, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube, and I would love to interact with it. Or if you just have a general question, you can always email me at humanitymatterspodcast@gmail.com. humanitymatterspodcast@gmail.com, because I got it. Some people just don't want to be put their opinions and expressions out there for whatever reason. And that's your right. That's your freedom. So moving on. I hold to absolute free expression. I do. Freedom of speech, right? I want to know every idea that is running out there. I want to know every opinion that is out there on a particular subject, right? I want to see people express themselves. Why? Because I believe, right, they're not doing any harm to me whatsoever, right? So just like I want the freedom to speak and to express my ideas and to express however I want to, and these opinions that I may have about religion or nonprofits or leadership, right? Or any of those types of things. I want that freedom, but I want the other person to have that same freedom as well. Because I'm going to learn something. It may reinforce something that I already hold, or it may cause me to look back and be like, you know what? I got to really think this through again. And that takes some humility to say, I don't know it all. I don't have perfect knowledge. I don't have all knowledge. So I don't have perfect knowledge and I don't have all knowledge. There's another individual that's over here that has some other ideas and opinions, and I should be willing to entertain what he or she is saying and take that into consideration as I am coming to my conclusion, right? So the problem is history has shown, right, going back to either the government or the majority, there's opportunities that has been taken to suppress particular ideas, right, or opinions or expressions, all right? But in doing so, or why that is done, is so that whoever is exercising the power, whether that is the government or the majority, all right, by suppressing a contrary opinion or idea, what that does is it does not provide an opportunity for that prevailing idea to be tested. Tested in such a way that it needs to be done away with or reformed, or people come to the conclusion, yeah, what they are talking about, yeah, that is the truth, little t truth, all right, leading to big T truth. But that's a whole other discussion, all right? But here's the other thing. If ideas and opinions are suppressed, okay, the opportunity for an individual to change his or her mind is also diminished. The freedom that individual has to engage in the set of ideas, to weigh these different ideas, right? To look at what he or she is currently holding. If they don't have the opportunity to look at competing ideas and opinions, that individual's freedom is diminished. That individual's creativity is diminished. And in fact, that is actually not only a harm to that individual, but it actually can also be a harm to the greater group. Because that individual may have needed that one particular piece of information, right? That could have refined what he or she was holding on to. They could have wrestled with that one particular bit of information that is being suppressed. It could have refined their idea. Then they could have put that out there, and that could have been not just a benefit to him or her, but also a benefit to the greater community. So why am I talking about this? All right. Why am I talking about this? So this past week, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, all right, good old Jen Psaki, right? She, in her weekly press briefing, she talked about how the White House, working with the Surgeon General, and that she particularly pointed out Facebook, but then also other social media entities, working with them to identify misinformation as it related to COVID-19, and then more specifically with the vaccinations that they didn't hit their target. Biden did not hit their target by July 4th, what he put out, right? So at the CDC website, this is what the CDC is reporting in terms of vaccinations, okay? And so this is from the CDC website, all right, as of 8 p.m. Eastern time, all right? So total vaccine doses delivered, 390,100,605. All right. Administered, 337,740,358. So those is a number of vaccines that's been delivered across the United States, administered, right? What that administered means, it doesn't really give a definition. All right. So people vaccinated. Now they have this broken up into at least one dose and then fully vaccinated. All right. From what I understand, there's Johnson & Johnson, there is Pfizer, and there is one more, Moderna. Okay. So according to the CDC website, they are reporting, okay, the total number of people who have received at least one dose is 186,038,501. The total number of fully vaccinated in the United States is 161,232,483. Now, obviously, that's not the entire American population, right? It's not. Entire American population is like 330 million until we have the census come out, okay? So the percentage of the total population that is received at least one dose is 56%, and the percentage of the total population that is fully vaccinated is 48.6%. And as you read down the list, they have it broken down even by age. And so even by age, the percentage of 65 years and older, they top out as the highest in terms of at least one dose vaccination of 89.1% and fully vaccinated 79.5%. Okay, we got somebody that's jumped into the queue. And so they've got this little blue box that says 161.2 million people fully vaccinated. All right, so that's their benchmark, right? They are not paying, it's good that people are getting at least one dose according to the CDC, but what the CDC is shooting for is fully vaccinated. And right now, their counter is 161.2 million. Hey, this is Dr. Philip Fletcher on Humanity Matters Weekly, and we're talking about freedom of ideas, opinions, and expressions. And in the context of what Jen Psaki released regarding the White House working with social media platforms to flag now what? Misinformation. So the question becomes, who defines misinformation? Who defines misinformation? I understand the Biden administration, they have a goal to have X percentage of the American population. I'm sure they want the 100%, right? But percentage of the population fully vaccinated, right? And so they're putting out the information, the CDC, they've got commercials running. I put up earlier this week on my Facebook, rap commercials going out, and it looks like it's targeting American Blacks who live in inner cities, because all I've found is rap type videos with women dropping it like it's hot. What do they think about you? Just asking. But anyways, so anything that would tend towards painting vaccinations in a negative light, the question becomes, is that considered misinformation? So I've read articles about individuals who have had adverse reactions to the vaccines. I've read other studies. Someone sent me a study considering alternatives to the vaccine. There is actually even a whole website that has been created where people can go, and I have to look that up, where they can report issues regarding after effects regarding vaccinations. In fact, I think it was in Britain or England, there were women who were on death's door because of taking one of the particular vaccines, right? They even had any news about it. So the question becomes, can individuals who take the vaccine, right, if they have a negative reaction to it, could they tell their story? If researchers who know more about this stuff than me or you, right, for the most part, I don't know, your experience, but if there's researchers out there who have done studies and who have found alternative methods to address COVID-19 other than the vaccine, can they publish their information on social media? Or is that considered misinformation? If individuals publish videos and create a Twitter thread or a Facebook thread about why they won't get the vaccine and their reasons behind it, and those reasons are well informed, right? Or those reasons are just their personal reasons. Is that considered misinformation? Now, social media platforms, this is not new, right? The opportunity for us to express our ideas and opinions, okay, and those being silenced, this is not something new. So I don't want to look at the Biden administration and be like, oh, y'all doing something that's never been done before in history, right? Because we know that's not true. Like, I didn't like how President Donald Trump continually assailed news media outlets by always using the pejorative fake news, especially when it was about things that were not favorable to him. Let the news go out there and let us all look at the information and determine for ourselves. Obviously, social media has banned, Thanos snapped former President Donald Trump from all social media. I don't even know if you can I don't think if I were to actually interview Donald Trump, I don't think that video would ever get out on YouTube. Him, a former president of the United States who raised his hand to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, right? He does not have the opportunity to freely express his ideas or opinions in the quote unquote, many would argue, social media is now the new public square. So if they can come for a former president who carried the nuclear football, I don't think we should be shocked if they come for everyday individuals like me and you. Right? So, hey, we've got somebody on, Heather Taylor, and we're going to bring her on and hear her thoughts. All right. So Heather, we're going to add you to the stream. Okay. Heather,
hi, Dr. Fletcher, how are you?
I'm doing good. I am doing good. So, Heather, thank you for joining us tonight, and just wanted to hear your thoughts about freedom of expression, ideas, opinions, as it relates to COVID-19 or just in general, what's going on in our country.
So I want to start off by thanking you and your family for defending our Constitution through your service to our nation.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your willingness to make sure that we maintain that freedom and that liberty.
Thank you.
It's important to have these discussions and the dialogues. That way people can kind of make up their own mind and actually get to have what God wanted us to have, is that freedom of thought and freedom of action. So all actions have consequences, and we're seeing that in the different ways that things are going on through COVID-19. But everybody has the ability to make their own choice, and that should be the way it is. My family, we had to make the choice. We didn't have to, but we did. We made the choice to vaccinate. And that's mainly because my 6-year-old daughter has been battling a medical condition that's rare and has had to be on chemo infusions. And she is not eligible for vaccines. She, even measles, mumps, rubella, she wasn't able to take that until last week, when it's normally administered when you're 4 years old, because of chemo. So, the whole vaccine and vaccination, this isn't something that's new to our family.
Okay.
It's something that we're well aware of. The anti-vaxxer movement, we're well aware of the vaxxer movement, well aware of personal choice and what you have to do for protection, and we're willing to accept consequences. So that all being said, I find it very concerning that I have tried numerous times to work through the channels you're supposed to go through,
okay,
to find out quality information from the officials you're supposed to reach out to. And what's alarming to me is there are known prophylaxis options out there that are being utilized worldwide, that are being discussed, even though COVID-19 is discussed on a moment by moment basis. And so it's frustrating. Okay. It's frustrating to see this and to go to reliable sources and to know that a binary choice is presented, vaccine or no vaccine. Well, how are we able to make that choice for a 6-year-old when that's not even a choice? How am I able to protect my 6-year-old when you tell me that, yes, you can wear a mask, but it's not 100% effective? Yes, you can take a vaccine, but it's not 100% effective. Yes, you can social distance, but it's not 100% effective. As a nurturing mother, and I know that your wife cares so much about making families a nurturing home, I am going to be Mama Bear and I'm going to protect, but I'm going to sound the alarm when there are ways to protect and it's not offered, because the only solution is vaccine, vaccine, vaccine.
Yeah. So you said you reached out to different individuals who you had the expectation of getting a response from.
Correct.
Did you reach out to them multiple times? You heard nothing back from them, even like a standard automated reply or anything like that?
Right. So I did hear back from someone who recently went to the CDC. He received a job offer with the CDC, and he said, "Thanks, Heather." Nothing more than that. And then I reached out to, so the people that I reached out to at the state level: Dr. Jose Romero, Dr. Jennifer Dillahay, Dr. Geraldine Jones, Dr. Greg Bledsoe. At a local level, I reached out to Dr. Joe. Oh, forgive me. Just give me 1 second. It'll come. But anyway, he's with the House of Representatives. Dr. Joe Cloud. I also reached out to Dr. Vicki Henderson, who's at a local level at St. Mary's Hospital. And Dr. Henderson and Dr. Cloud, who are both local, and I've established relationships with them. They both had, either positive feedback or, yeah, that might work. We might look into that. But vaccine was one response. And the other response was, wow, this is great. And it wasn't like I just said this last night. It's been crickets. And I had worked with this group about bringing remdesivir, opening up our state to clinical studies for remdesivir when that was coming out. And we were one of the few states in the nation that had no access to remdesivir. And remdesivir is something that Gilead put out so that way people who weren't in acute, when it hadn't progressed to the critical, stages of severe disease, it was effective. So if you're in that first initial stage of illness, it shows to be effective, and then into the moderate stages, it showed to be effective. So anyway, I had established these relationships with these people, and I thought it was good to try to look for other alternatives, especially before vaccines were available. But now that I know, hey, there's something out there that people can use that it might help them not die, but nobody's saying anything. And
why? Yeah. Why do you think it's important to share as much information regarding this particular public? I'm using the words of the White House, public health crisis, as possible. So, there's information put out about vaccines. You're trying to put out information about alternatives. Why is it important for people to have as much information available to them as possible?
I believe that's our right as American citizens. I mean, we're supposed to be able to be informed to make decisions, and we're not supposed to be a parental state that makes all the decisions. As much as I'm an overbearing mom, like, I believe that once my daughter gets to be an age to make her decisions, go for it, baby. I'm supposed to equip you with the critical thinking skills to let you make those decisions. But for people to make our decisions for us, that reminds me of other areas of the world that I don't want to live in.
I understand. Well, Heather, thank you very much for your insights. Much prayers and love to you and your family as y'all to continue to make health decisions for your family and especially for your daughter. I can't imagine, those decisions that have to be made. But that's what a parent does, right? We make those hard decisions.
Amen. We all work together.
Yeah.
So, and tell your wife that she's doing an incredible job. I love the work that she's doing and the work that y'all do. From birth to the tomb, y'all are making sure that all of humanity matters. So I appreciate y'all very much.
Thank you very much, Heather. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. So that was Heather and sharing her insights, personal insights regarding what she is experiencing with her family regarding the vaccine situation. Just to say the point of this discussion tonight is really to again address the freedom for every individual to express his or her ideas or opinions on any matter. Okay. I am not going to make any type of judgment for those who have taken the vaccine or who are choosing not to. I hold firmly on the principle that each individual knows what is best for him or her, and they make the best decision for their family or for themselves. Heather is a great example of that. And so there are those who are going to take the vaccine because in doing so, they have determined it has a significant impact on someone close, near and dear to them. Whereas for somebody else, they don't need to offer any type of justification whatsoever. And they have determined for themselves that they will continue on in life without the vaccine, right? And in both cases, right, there are trade-offs. That's the other thing about any decision-making process, whether it is vaccine or no vaccine, whether it is to, move from Arkansas to Nevada, right? There are positive and negative trade-offs to that. And it's important that we remember that especially when it comes to something as critical regarding our health. So if you're going to come on here and this is not the place, I'll say that, to paint people who are taking the vaccine in a negative light. And this is not the place either for you to come on here or comment and paint people who are also freely choosing not to take the vaccine, to take them in a negative light, right? So just close parentheses on that. And so again, the White House, they're talking about misinformation and using private companies, social media platforms, to look at information that does not line up with the information that is put out by the White House, right, and the Surgeon General. And she essentially said, she said it with a straight, bold face. Like, it was like, I don't know why you shocked, right? We'll flag those things, right? So in doing so, that's just another way of suppressing opinion, suppressing information, suppressing ideas. Now, why is that a problem? Well, I had to dig into the books, bring up a oldie but goodie, right? And I want to bring up to you John Stuart Mill and what he had to say on this, right? And this is what John Stuart Mill said regarding this type of activity, right? Let me get my logo out the way. Boom. The opinion which it is attempted to suppress by authority may possibly be true. Those who desire to suppress it, of course, deny its truth, but they are not infallible. All right. So again, let's keep Ms. Jen Psaki, Surgeon General, the Biden administration, the CDC in consideration. They have no authority to decide the question for all mankind and exclude every other person from the means of judging. To refuse a hearing to an opinion because they are sure that it is false is to assume that their certainty is the same thing as absolute certainty. All silencing of discussion is an assumption of infallibility. Its condemnation may be allowed to rest on this common argument, not the worse for being common. That is John Stuart Mill. That is from his book on liberty. Infallibility, right? So for one to seek to silence an opinion, to silence in an idea, right? That individual or that group is by implication taking on a position of infallibility. Like in Christianity, for instance, there's this back and forth whether the word of God is infallible and it's inerrant, right? And that throws a lot of people off about it being infallible. Why? Because it was written by men and then there's supposed contradictions. And so how could it be infallible? How could it be inerrant, right? Okay, then. So if you want to throw that accusation at a religious text, right, which asserts the Trinitarian God revealed in Jesus Christ, who came and died and rose from the dead, right? If that accusation is leveled at that text, right, why is it as a society we are trending more and more to accepting the infallibility of the White House, the Biden administration, the Surgeon General, the CDC? If the White House press secretary can come out and say that they are flagging particular information and labeling as misinformation, which by implication is silencing, which by implication is suppressing an opinion, an idea, something that is contrary to what they're putting out, then by implication, they are positioning themselves as being infallible. Again, I stated that there is not an individual walking the face of the earth who has all knowledge and perfect knowledge. All right? There's not an individual who is walking the face of this earth who has all knowledge or perfect knowledge, right? Yet when an individual or a government entity or the majority, right, says, you know what? This is the information that we are going to put out. And for you to put out any information that seeks to refine the information that we're putting out, or contradicts the information that we are putting out, or is not supporting of the goals that we are seeking to achieve, that government entity or that majority is positioning itself as being in the position of infallibility. Is that acceptable? Again, looking at J.S. Mill, it's the refusal, all right, to refuse a hearing to an opinion because they are sure that it is false. How is it that they know it's false unless they have had the opportunity to test that information? And so that entity believes it has the ability to test the information, but that ability for everyday people is being that opportunity. Let me say that opportunity is being taken away from everyday people. Now, millions of people, it's like part of our culture now. We get our information through the internet, and then more specifically through social media. So whether that is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Discord, YouTube, Vimeo, Vimeo, not Venmo, that's a cash thing. This is how people are getting their information. Now, here's the thing. If the United States government, using our tax dollars, was not involved with a private company, right? So if Facebook was acting on their own, is like, you know what? We don't want that. We don't want that. And they're getting no dollars from the federal government. They wasn't in a partnership with the federal government and the federal government wasn't influencing Facebook to do those things. I'd be like, okay, whatever. It's Facebook. It's a private business, right? But as soon as Jen Psaki came out and said that the federal government that is funded by our tax dollars is working with a private entity to suppress information and to prevent all types of information to go out regarding a particular issue, that's becoming problematic. Here's the second thing I want to raise is this. So it's being invoked that the reason that this needs to be done is because it is a public health crisis. Okay, fine. So if that is the case, wouldn't you not want all the information to go out? Would you not want all the information coming from all different sectors to come out on these different social media platforms so that individuals whom you are asking to take this vaccine specifically, they could make up in their own mind whether they could take it, but then second, they could consult with their doctor about whether or not they could take it. Again, we just heard from Heather, right? She said because of her daughter's condition, she can't take this vaccine, right? So that meant that a mother had more knowledge than the United States government did about her daughter, and that she worked with her doctor and they determined, well, she can't take this vaccine. Heather had more knowledge than Jen Psaki, the Surgeon General, did. Period. But she needs all that information so that she can make the most appropriate decision regarding her health in the context of this public health crisis. Does it not make sense that in regards to our health, we want all the information so that we can make an informed decision? Instead of only getting, so we'll just go off a percentage, right? 50% of the information, and it's 50% of the information is you should take it. You should take it. Drop it like it's hot. You should take it. Those are my thoughts. So we got some people chiming in here. Let's see. Dorinda says, what I find even more scary is that there is people that do not see problem with the government deeming some information as misinformation. Thank you very much, Ms. Cohen. Yes, you are correct on that manner. A select few individuals, right, in Washington, D.C. or wherever, right, in partnership with a few select individuals in, where's Facebook located? Palo Alto, I believe. Northern California, right? They are deeming what is correct information and what is misinformation or incorrect information. I like how we use these terms, like these cute terms. Misinformation is incorrect information or heretical information, divisive information, or it's information that doesn't support our goals. So this is how propaganda can erupt, right? You have one entity seeking to control the flow of information to then persuade a body politic to act in a particular way. Y'all don't think it's been done before? Look at the world war. Look at the wars. Y'all don't think it's been done before? Right? So, what else about the freedom of ideas, opinions, and expressions? Right? So, to my conservative friends, let me come to you. Right? A couple of weeks ago, I talked about Gwen Berry. What makes America America, again, is our liberty of free expression protected in the First Amendment. Freedom of expression, freedom of the press, right? Government's not going to mandate any type of religion, right? Our opportunity to address our grievances to the government. So just like Gwen Berry is out of her mind, right? Thinking that her and her administration is infallible in suppressing the opinions and ideas and expressions regarding COVID-19 and more specifically the vaccine, right? To my conservative friends, right? You are acting in a similar manner by saying to someone like a Gwen Berry, she should leave. She shouldn't serve, she shouldn't be an Olympian, right? She too has the freedom to express her ideas and opinions. Are there consequences? Sure. Was she harming anybody? No, she was not. Does she have complete information? No, she does not. Do those who were saying of Gwen Berry that she shouldn't be an Olympian and she should leave and so on and so forth, do they have infallibility? No, they don't. Again, any individual, any majority, right? Any majority, any government, right? That is seeking to exercise power over another individual by suppressing their opportunity and ability to express an idea or an opinion, they are functioning in an illusion of infallibility. The First Amendment guarantees the right of freedom of speech and expression. And it's those things that you don't like that's being protected. So, to my people on the left, right? You don't want to see conservative ideas, things like school choice, ideas of patriotism, coming across your social media, right? Those individuals need to be canceled, lose their jobs, so on and so forth. You too are practicing this illusion of infallibility because you are refusing to hear an opinion or an idea that you don't like. But here's the thing, to my friends on the left, to my friends on the right, there is a strong possibility that that idea that you are seeking to suppress, that opinion that you are seeking to have ushered out of the public square, it is that idea, it is that opinion which is necessary for you to say that, you know what I hold to believe is actually true. Or, you know what, I have to modify what I hold and move on. Or what I've held to be true, I've got to do away with because I've grown. Ladies and gentlemen, I am seeking to remind us that this freedom that we have to express, to hold these opinions, to hold these variety of ideas, right? The freedom to do that is part of who we are as human beings. And when we go down the road to suppress, to restrain, to remove somebody from the public square because they have an idea or an opinion to which we don't agree with, we march slowly down the road to authoritarianism and totalitarianism. We begin to be tyrants. You may think that suppressing that speech or suppressing that opinion, that you are on the right side of history, you are, doing the work of angels. But in actuality, what you are doing in the public square is you are functioning like you are. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said this once, referencing in his book Gulag Archipelago, right? And one of the things that he identified coming out of the Soviet gulags, right, is that this thread of evil, right, it is not located in particular people or particular nations. It is a through line through all of humanity. And so there can be a temptation for any of us to be a tyrant. We think we are doing what is good by silencing, by labeling, through labeling people's ideas or thoughts or expressions or opinions, flagging it as misinformation, labeling them with some type of pejorative so that that person is no longer heard. So we all have that temptation. There's that through line through all of us, that line that ran through Lenin and Stalin and Hitler and Mao, Castro, Bush, warmongers, bin Laden. It's the same through line that runs through all of us, and we have to be careful. So again, we're coming to a close. The freedom of ideas, the freedom of opinion, the freedom of expression, right, is a power that you have and that you exercise over yourself. And the opportunity for you to freely express yourself, to freely express what ideas you have, to freely express the opinions you have. These assist in the flourishing of your humanity, because the freedom of ideas and the expression of those ideas and the expression of those opinions stimulates creativity. It stimulates opportunities for association. It stimulates opportunities to work with people and to make alliances with people, to accomplish things in your neighborhood, in your city, your state, your nation in which you live. It contributes ultimately to you flourishing as a human being. So, hey, this has been Dr. Philip Fletcher with Humanity Matters Weekly. I hope you have learned something from the show today. Again, you can connect with me on any of my social media outlets: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, World Wide Web, philipfletcher.org. Also, find my podcast, Anchor.fm, or any of your podcast content, Google, Spotify, any of those areas. If you would like to support what I am doing, please visit me over at Patreon and make a contribution, $5 a month. Opportunity to get some cool connections with me, things I don't put out on YouTube or on any of my other outlets. And then finally, check out the most recent book review of Anti-Racist Baby by Dr. Ibram Kendi. And that is available on YouTube, and it'll be available on my podcast this upcoming week. And so, as always, remember to be loved, to be kind, to be generous, and if we remember to live in hope, we can do the impossible. Take care. God bless. When I say your name, it says you exist and that you matter. I can't transform what I don't think exists. I won't transform the person I don't think that matters.